NFL players who wear the craziest shoes. NFL players don't just bring the heat on the field, they also bring the drip. And no, we're not talking about sweat. We are talking about their insane, wild, eye-melting footwear that makes you wonder if they're playing football or walking a fashion runway at the Super Bowl halftime show. But seriously, some of these cleats look like they were custom made by aliens who binge-watch Nickelodeon. But here's the thing, there's always a reason behind the madness. Whether it's for a cause, a statement, or just pure style flex, these guys know how to stand out, even when they're being tackled at full speed. With that being said, let's take a look at the NFL players with the craziest shoes ever. Joe Namath, Broadway Joe's white shoes origin. Okay, let's go back to the colorful 1960s and meet the man who essentially turned NFL cleats into a fashion statement, Broadway Joe Namath. Back then, everyone wore the same old black high tops. Well, what about Joe? He shows up wearing bright white cleats. This is a total rule-breaking move. Why? It all began with a superstition. He used to cover his black cleats with white tape for good luck. Eventually, a Jets equipment guy said, you know what? Let's save time by giving him true white shoes. Joe enters the field wearing luminous white cleats, completely breaching the unwritten rules. People freaked out. But really? It matched his overall vibe. This is the same person who sported a fur coat on the sidelines. The white sneakers became a part of his swagger, and other players wanted to join in. Joe demonstrated something significant. If you wear flamboyant shoes and win the Super Bowl, you don't just break the rules, you set trends. Billy White Shoes Johnson, from a dare to a nickname. Let's travel back to the 1970s and meet Billy White Shoes Johnson, whose moniker literally stemmed from his cleats. So how did this happen? It all began with a dare in high school. Billy looked up to athletes like Namath and believed that white cleats were stylish. So one summer, he covered his brand new black cleats bright white. The next thing you know, he comes up to practice with white shoes in a sea of black. His coach simply stared at him. "What the heck are you doing?" Billy smiled and added, "They helped me run fast." Then he destroyed practice. Coach did not question it again. Billy scored 6 touchdowns in one game that season, and a local reporter dubbed him Blazing Billy White Shoes. The blazing aspect vanished, but white shoes remained for good. In the NFL, he made those cleats famous, along with his touchdown dance, the Funky Chicken. His shoes are even in the Hall of Fame. Not bad for a high school dare, right? Deion Sanders, Primetime's flashy footwork. Okay, now we're into the 1990s, and you can't speak about NFL style without mentioning Deion Primetime Sanders. This kid did more than just play football, he performed. And he made certain that every aspect of his appearance was on point, including his cleats. Deion's motto was, if you look good, you feel good. When you feel well, you play well. If you play well, they will pay well. And he meant it. The whole vibe was high speed, high style. But what about the cleats? Custom Nike kicks that drew attention, sometimes with bright colors, metallic gold accents, or whatever complemented his chains and confidence that day. When he played for the 49ers and Cowboys, he wore prime-time swag, including gold jackets, sunglasses, and cleats that gleamed almost as much as his achievements. The man didn't just play the game, he dominated the spotlight. Deion didn't merely raise the bar, he became the bar. 2 Super Bowl rings, a Hall of Fame career, and a legacy that demonstrated you can shine brightly while also backing it up. Chad Ochocinco Johnson, 24K gold and fines. Well, let's talk about one of the NFL's greatest showmen, Chad Johnson, also known as Ochocinco. If there was a spotlight, this guy went for it, and his cleats were always part of the show. On a Monday night in 2010, he wore all gold, bright gold cleats, a gold mouthpiece, the whole look. Under the lights, you could see the sneakers from the parking lot. It was clear Ochocinco, flamboyant, bold, and completely unforgettable. Of course, the NFL noticed and fined him $20,000 for it. They weren't really fond of custom-colored cleats back then. What about Chad? He simply laughed it off. Years later, when the league finally relaxed its cleat restrictions, he tweeted, wondering whether he might receive his money back. Classic. Aside from the gold kicks, he wore personalized designs for charity before it was even legal. That was exactly who he was, always pushing the envelope and having fun. What about those gold cleats? Well, they weren't just shiny, they were iconic, much like Ocho Cinco. Marshawn Lynch, Beast Mode's banned gold cleats. Let's talk about Marshawn Lynch, also known as Beast Mode, the man who elevated quiet to an art form and Skittles to a sideline snack. Did you know he was almost thrown out of a playoff game because of his cleats? Yep. Marshawn showed up to the 2014 NFC Championship wearing handmade 24-karat gold flake cleats that cost around $1,100. These things appeared to belong in a museum, not a football field. Naturally, he wanted to wear them. Well, what about the NFL? Not having it. They told him straight up, wear those or you're not playing. Not a joke. So what did Marshawn do? He wore them to warm up and flex a little. Cameras caught the shot, and fans went crazy. Then before kickoff, he switched them out for ordinary Seahawks cleats to avoid being booted. Classic Beast Mode. Defiant, but strategic. Even though he didn't play in them, the gold cleats stole the show. Marshawn was saying, I'll still shine on my own terms. Antonio Brown. Family faces on his feet. Okay, now we're heading into the 2010s, and none other than Antonio Brown, a man who generated nearly as many headlines for his attire as he did for his route running. AB was never one to blend in. He once arrived at training camp in a helicopter simply because he could. So when it comes to cleats, you better believe he wasn't going for the standard black and gold. Antonio opted to wear bright baby blue cleats to a game unexpectedly one week. There appears to be no special cause or tribute, just a mood. What about the NFL? Not impressed. He was hit with a $9,000 fine. You'd think that would have calmed him down, but no, the next game, he doubled down. This time, his cleats were more than just colorful, they were personalized. Instead of logos or showy designs, he had photographs of his 4 children put directly on the shoes. Seriously, full-fledged family photos right at his feet. It was similar to having a pair of custom image frames in which you could execute routes. The cleats were baby blue again. AB evidently loved that hue, and each one featured the smiling faces of the children he dubbed the 4 reasons I lace them up every day. Nice, right? Very heartwarming. Except the NFL, also known as the No Fun League, didn't see it that way. He wore the shoes for the first half of the game, and by halftime, officials had pulled him away and basically told him, change those cleats or you're not playing in the second half. Yes, they almost benched one of the league's best receivers for wearing an homage to his children. So, grudgingly, AB traded in his homemade kicks for regulation ones and returned to the field looking like a model citizen. Nonetheless, he received a fine. Rules exist, even if they do not make emotional sense. This wasn't the only time Antonio Brown strained the league's uniform guidelines. Far from it. Remember his twerking touchdown celebration, which got him a fine? Yeah, he had a way of combining passion and provocation. However, this specific cleat moment stuck out. It was part rebellious, part wholesome, a classic AB combination. On one foot, you have a guy questioning the rules. On the other hand, you have a father wanting to express his love for his children in the most public way imaginable. In the end, the NFL achieved compliance, but Antonio's message persisted. The children saw it, the fans witnessed it, and once again, Antonio Brown demonstrated that for some players, cleats are more than simply equipment. They're a canvas. Odell Beckham Jr., the Joker, and the Sager tribute. Let's talk about Odell Beckham Jr., a football player who handles every game like it's Paris Fashion Week. This guy doesn't simply show up to play, he shows there to make a point. The designer kicks in warm-ups one week and the expensive watch on his wrist during a game the following. Well, what about his cleats? Oh, that is nearly wearable art. Let's look at 2 of his most remembered moments, one outrageous and one profoundly emotional. First up, the famed Joker cleats. Odell was playing for the Browns in 2019, and he walked up wearing white cleats with the Joker's terrifying clown face painted across them. Red smile, evil eyes, the whole thing. It was as if Gotham City had met the gridiron. Not exactly Cleveland Browns colors, but it was a look. OBJ wasn't the only one pushing the fashion limit that day. His teammate Jarvis Landry sported dazzling gold cleats. So by halftime, the NFL had had enough. Officials issued them both an ultimatum. Change your shoes or you won't play in the second half. Odell eventually switched to a more approved pair during the break, but not before the internet had gone crazy over the Joker appearance. Later, Odell revealed that the entire situation was a last-minute fix. He didn't have cleats that matched the Browns' last-minute uniform change, so he grabbed the most comfortable pair he had. And yes, they did have a villain's smirk on their faces. Classic OBJ move, comfort, and pandemonium. However, Odell is concerned with more than just shock value. He also has utilized his cleats to make dramatic messages. For example, consider his Craig Sager tribute cleats. Craig Sager, the iconic NBA sideline reporter, was well known for his flashy, colorful clothes, total icon. When Sager died of cancer, Odell decided to honor him in the best manner he could, with personalized cleats featuring Sager-style designs. They were loud, bold, and stunning. And best of all, Odell planned to auction them off for cancer research. Sounds like a win-win situation, right? But not according to the NFL, because it wasn't during the league's officially designated My Cause, My Cleats week, and he was fined $18,000. Seriously. Even though he wore them during the game rather than in warm-ups, and it was for a worthy cause, the league said no. OBJ was obviously annoyed. He tweeted something like this: "No warning. There was no way to take them off. Nothing." You could feel the frustration. It was one of those "are you serious" moments that made spectators roll their eyes at the league's strict regulations. But here's the thing with Odell. He never stops. That fine did not slow him down. He implied that he'd be making unique cleats all season long. Whether he's playing tribute or simply having fun, he exudes an enthusiasm that makes you want to see what he'll wear next. Odell Beckham Jr. may play receiver, but what about his cleats? He is the NFL's unofficial creative director. Alvin Kamara, Christmas cleats and holiday spirit. Alright, let's finish with a contemporary talent who brought some big holiday feelings to the field. Alvin Kamara of the New Orleans Saints. If you know Kamara, you know he has style. I mean, the guy once showed up at the Pro Bowl wearing grills and a nose ring. Complete swagger. But let's go back to Christmas Day 2020. The Saints are playing the Vikings, and Kamara is not just showing up, he is making NFL history. He scores 6 touchdowns in a single game, tying the NFL record. Oh, and he's doing it in bright red and green Christmas-themed cleats. Imagine a black and gold uniform, but his feet look like Santa's favorite elf was drafted to the NFL. Now here's the catch: those joyful kicks. Yes, they violated the NFL's rigorous uniform regulation. The colors are not those specified by the regulations. So naturally, the league penalized him $5,000. But Kamara was not surprised. Before the game, he stated, "If they fine me, whatever it is, I'll just match it and donate it to charity." And that is exactly what he did. What's the best part? His cleats, along with the fine notice, wound up in the Pro Football Hall of Fame. Not a joke. The NFL responded, "You broke the rules." But it was kind of awesome. You mind if we keep these? Kamara even joked that the league was the Grinch, attempting to steal Christmas. But his sneakers eventually became part of NFL history. It only goes to show that even something as simple as your cleats can make a big impact. So from Joe Namath's brilliant white shoes to Kamara's festive sneakers, these players demonstrate that a little rule breaking for a good cause or simply good feelings can create a lasting impression. Next time you're watching a game, keep an eye on the players' feet. You might just catch a piece of history going down the field. Hey, thanks for hanging out. Don't forget to hit subscribe for more NFL videos like this.